Dobry den, I'm Susan Loy.
Hello, I'm Ron Ayers. I'm her husband. We've moved here from rural Virginia to Prague. We're here on a 2-year cultural visa.
I'm an artist and calligrapher, and I've moved to Prague to create Czech-specific literary calligraphy watercolor paintings. Moving to Prague is a dream I've had since I was a student living in Luxembourg in my junior year abroad. I love the experience and I love living in Europe. Ron had also traveled extensively in Europe. We went to Paris and London on our honeymoon, and we always intended to return to live for an extended period of time. But our literary calligraphy career intervened in a very good way. However, when Ron turned 70, it really got our attention, and we said at the time, if we don't do it now, we may never do this.
Before we moved here, people would ask us, why are you moving to Prague? Have you been there before? Well, actually we never had, but we wanted to move to a place with culture. People thought we were either brave or crazy, and I had to come up with some answer, like a quick answer, to tell them why we were moving here. And I came up with culture. The city is full of architecture and art museums. I'm a music fan, and you know there's a classical music concert here every day.
So how would you compare your life in Prague with your life in Virginia?
Well, it's certainly a big change from a rural to an urban lifestyle. You know, in Virginia, we lived a mile off the paved road, down a long gravel road. The power would go out a lot. The internet was slow. If we wanted to buy milk, we'd have to get in the car and drive a half hour to the store. Here, our neighbors are upstairs, and the store where we buy milk is just across the street. You know, we used to put 40,000 miles a year on those vans and cars. Here, we're not going to have a car. I'm 70 years old. I can ride the entire transit system for free. And I tell you, we've got this number 22 tram that runs from a big shopping center through our neighborhood down into the heart of the city and the beautiful Malostrana up to the Prague Castle. You know, it's sort of like going in Disney World from Epcot Center to the Magic Kingdom.
Even better, our neighborhood in Prague is within a half-mile walking distance of nearly everything that we need. We're just a 10-minute walk up the hill to Vinhrady, to the farmer's market, which we enjoy a lot. It gives us access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And on our farm in Virginia, we would walk on our 89 acres several times a day with our dogs. So we knew when we moved to Prague that having access to a park or a green space was really important. Well, we really found it in our neighborhood here in Prague 10. It's tree-lined. There are 2 parks. The nearest park is a 2-minute walk from our house, and one of the biggest parks in Prague is a 10-minute walk away. So essentially, we've traded our lovely rural pasture in Virginia for a lovely urban park in Prague.
You know, I don't want to make it sound like we're the country mice go to town, because we were on the art and craft show circuit. We traveled a lot. We went to maybe 100 cities in the United States, mostly on the East Coast, but some on the West Coast. And in Florida, in the winter, we would stay there and do shows.
One of the biggest challenges of moving to Prague was the visa application process. It's just a long, drawn-out affair. You have to do a lot of research. There's a lot of bureaucracy involved. I'm an independent artist, and I don't have the administrative support that, say, an academic artist would have. So I had to fill out the 25-question long-stay visa application, all in Czech, by myself. Initially, I thought I would hire a translator, but I ended up doing it all myself in the end.
So there we were at the Czech Embassy in Washington, D.C. We marched in there on a Tuesday afternoon with our pile of documents supporting our application. The Czech people looked at it very closely, and long story short, they issued us this 2-year long stay visa. And it took us about 2 years to do this whole process. It involved 2 trips to the Czech embassy, and then a trip to the Ministry of Interior in Prague, where we did hire a translator this time, but in the end we got our visas.
The most stressful part of the whole process was moving our two small dogs, Miss Lily and Rocky, to Prague. This also involved a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy. We had to have their transponder chips tested and checked. We had to have forms for both the USDA and the European Union. And Miss Lily had to go on a diet because she was a little bit over the weight for the size allowed to ride up in the cabin with us on the airplane. And she did lose weight. But fortunately, when we arrived at the check-in desk at the airlines, Rocky was like a rock star. He marched right up and captivated all of the attendants, and Miss Lily, she just cruised by. Our Bichons are really good travelers, and I'm happy to say that they're enjoying their life here in Prague.
So we're leaving away behind our career that we had for 30 years. We had like 10,000 collectors of Susan's prints and stationery. And when we started telling people that we were moving, people would say, well, what am I going to do about this wedding gift that I wanted to buy for my daughter in 2019? So listening to all this, we came up with a plan, and we worked like crazy, and we sent enough inventory to the Amazon fulfillment centers to last for 2 years.
Like most travelers, we leave behind family and friends, but we're also looking forward to friendly visits.
So, do you have any deep worries?
I can't think of any worries.
Yeah, me neither. No worries. But what will you miss?
Well, you know, I think I'll miss the English language. I did when I lived in Luxembourg. After several months of living in a foreign country with a foreign language, it did start to wear on me a bit. But I also remember at the time thinking, this is why you're here. And in order to benefit from all the wonderful things that foreign cultures have to offer, you have to get involved with the foreign language as well. So we are studying Czech. It's a difficult language. Mushatome Tanopsat?
Well, I know I'm going to miss family and friends, of course. And you know, the other thing I'm going to miss is where to find things. Like, I lived in Moneta, Virginia. If I needed hardware, I went to the Moneta Farm Service. Or if I needed ibuprofen, I went to Walgreens. Here in the Czech Republic, if I want ibuprofen, I need to go to the Lékárna, which is the pharmacy. There the pills are kept behind the counter, and when I buy them, an attendant instructs me in their use. There's one to pick from, and that I should cut these in half for the dosage. In the United States, we would go, and there might be 4 different manufacturers of ibuprofen producing the pills in 4 or 5 sizes with different coatings. But so it's confusing where to buy things, and we still haven't found white vinegar. Okay, so back to business on our apartment search. We made a list of things that we wanted. We wanted a furnished 1 to 2 bedroom apartment with a kitchen, a bathroom, a living room and a dining room, somewhere in Prague, 2, 3, or 10. So we had done research on the neighborhoods before we got here, and we kind of knew where we wanted to be. It had to be close to the center, but not too close, and close to public transportation since we wouldn't have a car.
Most importantly, it had to be pet friendly. I prefer an apartment on a lower floor. Miss Lily's an old dog and she can't navigate very many steps, and it's also important that the apartment be close to a green area or to a park. And a garden apartment with outdoor access would be a bonus.
So here's what we ended up with. We ended up with a 1-bedroom apartment in Prague 10 with large rooms, a bathroom, and the kitchen had in it a refrigerator, a stove, an oven, a dishwasher, and a washer-dryer.
It's pet friendly and on the first level. Miss Lily only has to walk up a half flight of steps, which she manages quite nicely, and it's close to 2 parks One of the largest parks in Prague is just a 10-minute walk away, and our nearby park is only 2 minutes. Their groomer is down the street on Gdanska, and their new Prague vet is just 2 blocks away.
Our compromises.
You know, we may have to compromise on the number of bedrooms, or maybe even on the location, but our pet-friendly requirements are not negotiable.
You know, Susan, you and I don't really have very many differences. We've been traveling together for 35 years now. We've lived in apartments, motels, hotels, extended stays. We had an RV. So I think we've learned where to stay. We had a business for 35 years, and so we made a lot of decisions there. So I think by now we've learned how to enjoy the ride, and here we are in Prague.